So good morning, guys. Good morning, everyone.
Good
So in
morning, sir.
yesterday's session, we discussed like what is architecture diagram, what is meant by an architecture diagram, and what is thick client application, what is thin client, and we discussed about each layer or each tier, presentation tier, logic tier, and database tier. Yeah, isn't it? So any queries, guys, before we start the today's session? Any queries on the previous day concepts? I'll share the PPT today. As immediately after the session, I'll share it so that you can go through the PPT as well. Yeah. So let me move on to the next topic. So in this session, let's understand what is the HTTP request response cycle. When I say HTTP request response cycle, so what happens from the moment you send the request to the server and you receive the response, right? So I explained yesterday. So what is a HTTP request? We came across this term multiple times, isn't it? Suppose you type apple.com, right? You are sending a HTTP or HTTPS request to the server, Apple server. And how do we know is if it is a HTTP or HTTPS request is?
Security, sir. Lock symbol.
Right. So in the URL, in the address bar, we call this as address bar, right? In the browser address bar. So you see, if you see a padlock symbol, that is a HTTPS application, secured application, right? So whereas I'm using a local application also. This is a HTTP application. You don't see that padlock symbol for this, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
No. This is actually one. So you don't see a padlock symbol here, isn't it? So, and also it says here, displays a message here, your connection to this site is not secure. So this is a normal HTTP application. Clear, guys? So, and this is called as a HTTP request. We have sent a HTTP request to the server. So in this case, we have sent request to Web2 server. I hope most of you installed this application on your machine. If not, I will share it after the session. So please install it, this sample application that we are going to use for scripting, right? So we are going to use this WebTools application as a sample application for practicing scripting. That's it, right? Practicing scripting and test execution. Now, when we type this URL in the address bar, browser address bar, you are sending a HTTP request to the server. So this is the request that you have sent, and this is the response that you got from the server. Clear, guys?
Yes,
So
sir.
this is the response that you got from the server, right? Now, so if you see the source code, right? So yesterday I have shown you how to see the page source, right? You right click on that and view page source. Click on view page source, and I have shown you this code also, isn't it? So this is there is some HTML code over here. We discussed yesterday what is HTML, what is CSS, and JavaScript. So there is some HTML code here, right? And we see this is called as page title. The top, 1 second, let me highlight it. This is called as page title, isn't it? Anyways, and this is a local application that I am using now. Local application means this application is installed on my machine. Okay, this web application is installed on my machine. That's why I'm using local host here. Local host means local machine, nothing but local machine. And what is this port number, by the way? So 1080 is the port number on which this WebTools application is running. Means there will be different software ports. There will be different software ports for different applications. And this application, particular application is using port number as 1080. So what is that port number? What is that port number means? Your application is listening on this. This is actually a software port. There will not be a hardware port. Okay, there are no hardware ports. This is a software port. So your application will be listening on this port number 1080 for any incoming requests. For any incoming request means it will be the WebTools server will be listening on this port number, and it will be continuously listening if there are any requests to the server, right? And as soon as it receives a request, it will process the request. If it is a valid request, it will process the request and it will send the response like this. So this is called as HTTP response. HTTP response. Clear, guys? And in this case, this is when you type apple.com, you are sending a HTTPS request to Apple server, and this is the HTTPS response. Clear, guys? And now let's understand what happens from the moment you send the request to the server till you receive the response. This is one of the important interview questions. Can you explain HTTP request response cycle? So that is one of the interview questions. Right? So as soon as you send a request, right? So I will explain that with the two examples. We'll take one Amazon website or some Apple website, and we'll take one local application as well. Right? So as soon as you type the URL in the browser like this, okay, let me. I'll add one more example. Okay, I'll correct that Indian national letter. Right. So as soon as you enter the URL in the browser, right? So browser extracts the protocol, host, optional port number, resource path, and query strings. Here, guys, browser. Let me explain. Browser extracts the protocol. So what is protocol here? In this case, it is HTTP, and in this case, it is HTTPS. Right. Now, what is meant by a protocol?
Instructions.
Yeah. So protocol is the set of instructions for communication between your browser and server. Or protocol is the communication language between your browser and server. I'm looking for the definition. I kept it somewhere. Yeah. So hypertext transfer protocol. It is a set of rules for transferring files and other multimedia files on the World Wide Web. So protocol, let me give a basic definition of protocol. So protocol is a communication language between your browser and server, right? Or it is a set of rules for communication between browser and server. Here you can see. 1 second. I should be having basic definition of protocol. It is a set of rules for transferring files, right? When I say files, it can be text, graphics, graphic images, sound, video, and other multimedia files on the World Wide Web, right? So HTTP is an application protocol that runs on the top of TCP/IP suite of protocols, right? You might have read these terms in your graduation, right? So what TCP/IP what is TCP/IP?
Internet protocol or
Transmission control protocol. TCP stands for transmission control protocol, right? IP stands for internet protocol. So HTTP is an application protocol that runs on top of TCP/IP suite of protocols. So for now, remember that protocol is nothing but a communication language between your browser and server, right? And in this example, HTTP is the protocol, and these examples for HTTPS applications, this is the protocol. HTTPS is the protocol. Okay. Now browser first extracts the protocol host. Host means nothing but your server name. What is your server name, right? So in this example, when you use Amazon website, e-commerce application, Amazon website. So this is the server name. Amazon is the server name, and here it is the local host name or server. Sorry, host name, not local host. Host name is host means nothing but server, right? So here the name of the server is Apple, and optional port number. Port number is optional. Not all URLs will have a port number. And resource path. We have to understand what is this resource path and query string. We need to understand this one. So to understand that, let me take this example. Right? So protocol is HTTP here. When I use this local application, right? Protocol is HTTP and my server name is localhost. Localhost is the default host name of any machine, right? Localhost is the default host name of any machine, default name of any machine. And 1080 is the protocol on which this particular WebTools server is running. Okay. And this is called as resource path, by the way. Whatever is there after, immediately after the server name and port number, this is called as resource path. Let's understand this. Why this is called as resource path. All right. So for that, let me go to that WebTools application. So I kept one shortcut on the desktop. So I'm right clicking on it and using open file location. So if you see here, there is a folder called htdocs for HTML documents. In that you have WebTools folder. In that WebTools subdirectory or folder, you have this index.html, right? So all these are resources of the web page, JavaScript files, HTML files, images, right? There are certain images in this folder. So all these called as resources of the web page or components of the web page. Yes or no? Different parts of the web page, all the different resources or different parts make a page. So you can see there are some 2 images here and there is some text box, right? Let me show you something. So I'm right clicking on this. So basically this application, if you consider this application, it is made up of 3 frames. This particular response or this page that we are seeing, right? Made up of 3 frames. This is one frame. This is another frame. And this is another frame. HTML frames, right? You can note it down if someone is taking running notes, right? So now how to identify that? Which frame is that? How to identify that there are 3 different frames? If you right click and see here, there is something called view page source and view frame source. Okay. If you click on view page source, it will show you the HTML code of the main page, that is index.html. This is the main page, right? Index.html is the main page. And let me show you that in code of that index.html. So if you see here, this is the main code of index.html, right? And you see the page title here, as well as 3 frames here. See, frame set, border color. Border color is equal to, there is some color code. So this should be the color code of this dark blue color that you are seeing, isn't it? Able to understand, guys? And there are 2 frames here. See here, frame name is equal to header, frame name is equal to body. Frame name is equal to header. So this corresponds to, header means nothing but this one. This particular, let me try it again. So this is header, right? And in this particular page, they are calling this as body, response body. Clear, guys? In this particular example. Frame name is equal to body, right? So we are sending a request for this index.html, this page called index.html. That's why this is called as resource path. This is called as resource path. What is the resource here? Index.html is the resource that we are asking, that we are sending request to. And that index.html is there in a folder called WebTools. That's why this is called as resource path. Is it clear, guys? So you need to understand this request structure. So this will be helpful in API testing. So wherever you go in performance testing, so you have to understand this resource path. You will come across this term. Is it clear for everyone? What is meant by resource path? Yes, please respond.
Yes, sir.
Right?
Sir.
And query string, I will explain it later. In this example, we don't have a query string. I will explain that later. Actually, query string. So if there is a query string, you will have a question mark. You will have a question mark like this, and whatever that is followed after question mark, that is called as a query string. In this example, I don't have a query string. I will explain that later. All right. Now, this is your HTTP request structure. It contains protocol, host name, port number, which is optional, and resource path. And right, and resource path. Now, suppose if let's take Amazon example or Apple.com example. So let's search for some. Let me search for some product. Right. So this is the resource path here, isn't it? This is the resource path. Let me take some Amazon or Flipkart example where I can show you the search for. Let's say I search for some product on iPhone. Okay. Now see here. So this is Amazon.in. This is your server name, right? There is no port number here. Port number is optional, as I mentioned here. Port number is optional. Okay. And this is your resource path /s. This is your resource path. And you see a question mark here, right? This is called as query string.
Okay.
Got it? And this is called as key value. And this is key, this is value. Right? So, and observe here, these are called as key and values. Key value pairs. These are called as key value pairs. Right? And observe here, different keys and key value pairs are separated by an ampersand in the query string. Right? So this is called as query string. Whatever is there after a question mark, that is called as a query string. Clear, guys? And we are sending a request for this iPhone. We searched for iPhone, and that is how your request is going to the server. It is going as a key value pair in a query string. Clear, guys?
Sir, what is resource path here?
Resource path is this one. So immediately after the server name, whatever you see, that is called as resource path.
Okay.
Right? So let me take one more example. Suppose you go to Flipkart.
Only /s is the resource path, sir.
Correct. Yes. See here how the request is going. So see here, this is the resource path. Search is the resource path, and this is your query string in this example. Clear, guys?
So for desktop applications, we'll be able to see the resource path. And for
Desktop application, we will not access from the browser, right? We will be installing,
Yes.
we'll be accessing it with the help of a client. There will not be any resource path. Will it be visible? No, it won't be visible.
Yes, for web we'll not be having it, right?
Yes.
And we'll not be able to see.
For desktop, we will not be having it.
Yes.
All right. So these, please remember this. This is called as query string, and these are called as key value pairs. This is one key value pair. I searched for this MacBook Pro. What is this %20? See, %20, nothing but a space. The space is represented by %20. I searched for this MacBook Pro. This is my search item, right? So you observe here, after Mac, there is %20. That means %20 represents this space. Okay. And this is one key value pair, and the next, this is one key value pair, right? And different key value pairs are separated by an ampersand symbol and a symbol, right? That is read as ampersand. Now, so let's go to the next one. Let's go to the slide deck. So first your browser does some local processing, means browser will break that request into protocol, host name, port number, resource path, and query string. And then it has to resolve the IP address. 1 second, guys. The next step is it will resolve the IP address of the server. Once it breaks the request and understands the request, right? It does the local processing, and then it will resolve the browser will resolve the IP address of the server, right? So every server will have some IP address. We already discussed in the first session what is meant by IP address and how to check the IP address of your machine, right? In the second demo or third demo, I covered that. So please go through the recorded sessions if you missed those. Okay. So the next step that browser will do is it will resolve the IP address of the server, right? And now what is the IP address of my, so in this case, what is the IP address of local host? How can I check that? So this is how we check the IP address. What is the command to check the IP address, guys?
ipconfig.
Yeah. So ipconfig, type ipconfig, right? And this is the IP address. IPv4 addresses of my machine is 192.168.0.134. 192.168.0.134. 0 is pronounced as O. Okay. Now, so it will find out. So in the same way, it will find the IP address of the. It will find the. Browser will try to resolve the IP address, right? How does it browser resolve the IP address in case of Amazon or Apple.com? How does it resolve the IP address, right? So, so first let me show you. Every website will have some IP address. Every server will have some IP address. Say how to find the IP address, for instance, right? Suppose you type ping gmail.com, right? So this is the IP address of Gmail server. So here you can see this is the IP address of Gmail servers, right? And now, so let me check IP address of. So suppose you are accessing Amazon.in. So this is the IP address of Amazon servers, right? So browser will find out try to find out what is the IP address of the server. Okay, so it will not use ping command. Just to show you that Gmail or every server has an IP address, I have used this command. The browser will not use a ping command like this. So what is the process that browser finds is browser will look through its own cache of recently requested URLs. Means browser will check if this particular URL is accessed recently, right? So browser will maintain a browser cache, right? Every browser will maintain its own browser cache. Means yes or no? So the first time you access a page, so this is, I will go to the normal browser. See, the first time you access any website, right? So let's say I will access geomart.com. It will take some time to load the page, right? The next time if you access the same page, it will be faster, isn't it? Yes, please respond able to understand, Sadiq. So,
Yes.
guys, yes or no? Is it
Yes.
observed or no?
Yes.
The first time you access any website, it will be taking some time. But the next time you access the same page, right? So it will load faster because browser will store all the images and some content in the browser cache. Something called browser cache, right? So till you clear the browser cache, it will be loading faster. The next time you access the page, it will load faster. Yes or no? We have
Yes.
seen that yesterday also. I have shown you in developer tools. You remember? I have shown that in the developer tools. Okay. Let me show you that one more time. I started developer tools and previously I accessed this geomart.com. Now if I send the same request, I am sending a request, right? I'm sending a request to that. I'll use the same automation. Just 1 second. Okay, So when I type this URL, I have sent a request to the server. All the requests went to the server. See here, there are total of 8 requests, right? So these are called as sub. This is the main request. Index.html is the main request, and these are all sub requests. Okay. So there are total of 8 hits to the server. Now observe here, the first time I access the page, all these requests come from the server. All these pages come from the server. Next time if you access, right? Next time if you access the same page, show the browser disk cache. One second. Okay, somehow it is not showing up here. Yesterday we observed here, right? Disk cache or something. You remember that? In developer tools, we saw that disk cache. Oh, sorry, sorry, not in your batch. That was covered in Lotaner batch, sorry. Right? Yeah, okay. So let me explain. So the first time you access any website, so it will access all these images and all from the server directly. And now what happens is your browser stores some images, right? Store some images, JavaScript files and CSS files in the browser cache. Means it will store it in the local cache. The next time, so for example, tomorrow or day after tomorrow, if you access the same page, or after some time you access the same page, it will not get those resources from the. It will not get those resources every time from the server, but it will load from the browser cache. Understood or no?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So till the moment you clear the browser cache, it will be using that browser cache. Right? Till you clear the browser cache, till you clear the browsing history. Okay. How can you clear the browsing history? So you can go to history. One second. So till you click this clear browsing data, so that all the resources will be stored in the browser cache. You see some cache here, right? All the resources will be stored in this browser cache till you clear this like this. See, observe here. There is a total of 317 MB cached images and files, right? So if you clear the browser cache, observe here, some sites may load more slowly on your next visit if you clear the cache, because it has to fetch it from the server directly. Understood, guys?
Yes, sir.
Now, so when you type some URL in the browser address bar, so first it will first extract this information. What is the protocol? What is the host name, port number, resource path, and query strings. Then it will try to resolve the IP address of the server. Right? To resolve the IP address, browser will look to its own cache of recently requested URLs. Means browser will check if this URL is accessed recently in the recent past. Right? So because if the same URL was requested recently, accessed recently, that IP address will be stored in the browser cache. So that's why it will look into the browser, its own cache means it will look into browser cache if that URL is accessed recently. If the URL is accessed recently, it will have that IP address. Then it will get the IP address of that server. Otherwise, if it is not found in the browser cache, it will look into operating system cache. OS cache means operating system cache. If it is not found there also, then it will look into router cache or router cache, right? And if it is not found there also, then it will look into DNS cache. So can you note it down? DNS stands for domain name system. So let me explain what is this DNS. Let me bring up your document and type it over there. DNS stands for domain name system. If you want to check any term, once I share this PPT, just right click here and use this explore option, explore DNS. And it will directly open the Google search results over here like this on the right side. So DNS stands for domain name system. Clear, guys? So what is that? I will explain what is that DNS. So domain name system, this server consists of the URL. Okay, let's say for instance, apple.com. So what is the IP address that we have checked here? Means we will check IP address. 1 second. So this will DNS server will contain entries like this. That's it. Your application name, IP address. In the same way, Amazon.in will contain these mappings. Mappings means it will contain server name and IP addresses. Is it understood, guys?
Is there any difference between IP address and DNS address?
Difference between
IP address and DNS address.
And DNS is nothing but which server can understand.
One second, let me fill up this also and come to you. What is that? Flipkart. Okay. Now, so every server will have this IP address and some name associated with it, right? So, and why do we need, when we have IP address, why do we need this, these domain names? See, these are called as domains. These are called as domains or domain names. So when we have IP address, why do we have this domain name is, it's difficult to remember this IP address, right? For anyone, it's difficult to remember IP address, right? But it's difficult to remember the names, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Right? So that's why you will DNS server. So every server or every application will have some domain name, right? However, in the background, like it will have some IP address, and as it is difficult to remember, like you will have mappings in, you will have some, every server will be mapped or associated with some domain name, and we will use these domain names. We will actually using these domain names, right? And how does this browser understand what is the IP address is? It will check in the, first it will see in the browser cache, and then in the operating system cache, and then in the router cache, and then in the DNS cache. So if it is not there in the DNS cache also, then it will, if cache lookup fails, if it is not there in any cache, it will browser fires a DNS request, means it will send a request to the DNS server, right? And then it gets the IP address from the DNS server, right? And someone asked some questions like, what are those?
So what is OS cache and router cache?
Just like how a browser maintains its own cache, so router cache means your Wi-Fi router, or it will also maintain some cache. Means it will store, whenever you access some website, it will store the IP address. Whenever it stores the IP address and host name or domain name in that router cache. So operating system cache means operating system also may be storing some these mappings, this IP address and domain names in some location. So browser will first look if it is available in this cache. If the cache lookup fails, then it will send a request to the DNS server. That is called as DNS request. And once it gets the IP address from the DNS server, then it will establish a TCP connection. And this is called as TCP handshake. right? It will establish a TCP connection. TCP stands for Transmission Control Protocol. Okay, so if you want to explore further what is TCP, so you can just right click over here, and once I share the PPT, or else you can Google search and explore it. Okay, so TCP stands for basically Transmission Control Protocol. If you want to explore what is TCP and all, so you can explore on your own after the session, right? Now, so once it establishes TCP connection, so that is called as TCP handshake, right? Once client has an IP address, it must open a TCP connection over which it has to send a HTTP request, right? First, it has to establish a TCP connection, and on that connection, it will send this HTTP request. So this much process happens when you when you access any URL, right? So if you type apple.com, what happens? First, it will get the IP address of, first it will break that request into server name and protocol and query string. Then it will try to get the resolve the IP address of that apple.com server, right? For that, it will look into the browser cache and then operating system cache, router cache, and DNS cache. If that is found there in browser cache or somewhere in any of these cache, it will establish a TCP connection once it finds the IP address. If it is not found, then it will look into, if it is not found, it will send a request to the DNS domain name system, and it will get the IP address of this apple.com. Once it gets the IP address, then it will establish a TCP connection, and then on that TCP connection, it will send this request, HTTP request, right? So, and that HTTP request can be of different types. There are different types of HTTP requests. Those are GET request, POST, PUT, delete, and patch, etc. Now we have to understand what are these different types of requests, right? We'll understand this, and then I'll go to performance testing concepts, back to performance testing concepts, right? So these HTTP request methods, there are different types of HTTP request methods. First one is a GET request, and then POST, PUT, delete, patch. So why do we have this, and what are these different types of requests? Let's understand this. When you send this apple.com request, right, it is a GET request, right? Let me show you that, how to check that, if it, what type of request it is. You can go back, you can go to the developer tools for that. And I'm sending a request again, right? And this is my main HTTP request, apple.com, right? And so you see here, this is a GET request. What does that mean? GET means we are asking server to get the home page. We are asking Apple server to get this apple.com home page, right? Suppose if you click on some product, right? So that is also a GET request. So basically we are asking server to get that page related to iPad. Right? We are asking Apple server to get the page, iPad page, to get the iPad page. Understood, guys? That is a simple GET request. Here also you can see apple.com/iPad. Right? So this is a GET request. Let us take a local application, and so that it will be more easy for you to understand. Okay. So let me take this URL. Let me clear this once, and let me send a request again. Right? Now, if you observe here, index.htm is also a GET request. Means, what does that mean? We are asking this Web2 server, right? We are asking Web2 server to get this page for me. Index.htm, and there is a page called index.htm, and we are asking server to get that page for us. And where is that page? That is there on the server in this folder, Web2's folder. Let me show you that. So this is Web2 server folder, right? In that you have htdocs. So here you can see we are sending a request to this index.htm page, right? And that index.htm is in this Web2's folder. So this is a simple GET request. Okay. Now what is the next request? That is POST request. POST request will be sent when you log into the application and by entering some credentials. Let me show you that here. Let me clear this, and I'm entering credentials of this application. by default, there will be a default user called Jojo Pin. Right now, I'm entering the credentials and clicking on login. And let's see what type of request is this one. So see here, this is the actual request sent login.pl. And observe here, this is a post request. The request method is post. When post request will be used is when you log into the application or when you submit a HTML form, then it will be a post request, right? So I have detailed slides on this get and post in the next slides, guys. So here you can see this is a what is get method, what is post method, right? I have detailed slides here. So when this post request post method will be used,
Send anything.
When
you
we hit
send
any request
login
to
and
the
submit.
server,
right,
Login and
when you are
submit.
posting some data to the server or when you are submitting some post or some data, some confidential data to the server, right? So that will be sent as a post request. Clear, guys? What data we are submitting here? We are submitting username and password here, right? So that will go to the server as a post request. Okay. Now, what are the other instances? Okay. So let me show you one more example of a post request. Suppose you here there is an option to register on this website, right? There is a sign up option, and here suppose if you are submitting your username and password, so basically you are submitting a HTML form, right? So this is a HTML form, registration form, and whenever you are submitting that form also, it will be a post request. Right? So I'm submitting this form now by clicking on continue button, right? So that data will go also as a post request. Here you can see. Oh, I did not match the passwords. Okay, that let it be. So that is not the discussion point. So we are discussing about a get and post request. So here you can see, guys, that that request was sent as a post request. Clear? So whenever you log into the application or whenever you submit a HTML form, right, that will be submitted as a post request. Okay. So put, delete, and patch, we'll discuss it later. So once the browser establishes a TCP connection, it will send a HTTP request, and that request can be of different types. It can be a get request, post, put, or delete, or patch. So basically, if you want to submit some data, if you want to update some resource on the server, you send a post request. If you want to delete some data from the server, it will be a delete request. And if you want to, suppose sometimes we reset the password, right? There is some password which you want to reset, then it will be sent as a patch request. Okay. So based on the requirement, like your request method changes. So once you send a request to the server, so browser will process that request, and server will process the request and send the response to the browser, and browser receives that response and renders the page as a response. Once you send a request, if it is a valid request, your server will process that request and it will send the response to the browser, and browser receives the response and it renders the page as the response. So this is what happens when you send a request from the browser till you receive the response from the server. So this is called as HTTP request response cycle. Is it clear, guys, or any queries here?
Clear.
it's clear, sir.
I'm passing the recording. So if you type the URL in the browser address bar, right? We call this as address bar, browser address bar. So when you send this request, right, first it will break that request into, protocol. This is the protocol. This is your server name and this is your resource path. Resource means nothing but this. There is a page called train search. This particular page has developer has given a name called train search, and that page is there in this folder on IRCTC server. So this is called as resource path. This part. Okay. So browser will break that request into that, and it will try to, as soon as it gets the server name, it will try to resolve the IP address. So what is IP address? IP for Internet Protocol. IP address means every server or every machine will have an IP address, and it will find out what it will try to find what is the IP address of that domain, right, or that website, right? So for that, first it will look into the browser cache. Means what is browser cache? Whenever you access any page, so browser will store some information in the browser cache locally in the browser cache. So it will first look into the browser cache if the same URL is accessed recently, right? So if it is accessed recently, if it was accessed recently, it will contain the IP address. It might have done the resolving IP address and all this before. So it will try to find out IP address of that server in the browser cache. If it is not found, then it will look into operating system cache. If it is not found there also, it will look into router cache and then DNS cache. If this cache lookup fails, means if this search in the cache fails, it will send a request to the DNS server. It will fire a DNS request and it will send a request to the DNS server. What request does it send? It will send the URL, whatever domain name you have typed in the browser, it will send that, and domain server will return the IP address of that. So basically this domain name system, this DNS server contains information like this. It will contain the IP address and domain name, right? I think I typed in your notes. So this your domain server entries looks like this. Clear, guys? And when you type, when you type the domain, when you type the server name, so it will try to get browser will try to get what is the IP address of that machine. So once it gets the IP address in this process, once it gets the IP address, it will establish a TCP connection. Right? Here you can see I mentioned here, once client has an IP address, it must open a TCP connection over which it has to send a HTTP request. Right? Is it clear, guys? And that HTTP request can be of different types. It can be a GET request, POST, or PUT, or delete, or patch. So whatever, based on the URL you have typed, it will send a corresponding HTTP request. Now the server receives the request and it will process the request. If it is a valid request, it will process it and it will send the response like this. Sends the response means you will get the page from the server like this. Is it clear, Kiran?
Oh, yes.
So once it receives the response, browser receives the response, it will render the page. It will render the page, right? So it will send this, see, any URL consists of multiple requests. If you observe, I have shown that in developer tools, right? One second. So any request to see, any page will be made up of multiple resources like this. Here you have some JavaScript files, some images and all, right? Once the browser receives the response for each of these requests, it will render the page and it will show the page finally like this. Clear? So if you take this example, apple.com example, right? So if you send a request, right, observe here, there are a lot of sub requests. There are 111 requests, sorry, 149 requests totally, right? So once it receives the response for each of these requests, browser will render the response and it will show like this, show the final page like to the user like this. So this is called as HTTP request response cycle. Is it clear or any more queries?
Clear.